Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. This one is all about a message for your situation. So, whatever is going on in your life or your situation right now, we're going to get some messages, see what you need to hear about that. And today we have a selection of cupcakes for you to choose from. And if you like how I read tarot and want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted a reading all about their late night thoughts about you. So that one is a juicy, spicy one. It is 18 plus, and we get into what is on their mind about you when it comes to them maybe going to bed late at night, laying awake, thinking of you, whatever is on their mind. We get into all of it. And if you want to watch that and watch all the other readings, there are about 70 additional readings over there. Then you can go to my Patreon and sign up there. You will also get early and ad-free access to my YouTube videos. So you get to be the first to watch and totally ad-free. And yeah, if all that sounds good, head to my Patreon. Link is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. So if you are new to this channel, welcome. And basically you're going to see which of these cupcakes is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it. And as soon as you made up your mind, scroll down to the timestamps and jump into your pile. You're going to pick which of the cupcakes is for you based on your intuition, the energy that's pulling you in, not necessarily the one that you would order in a restaurant or the one that looks the tastiest to you, but more along the lines of the energy that's pulling you in, the same way you would pick for any other pick a card reading. I also want to mention that I do private readings. So if you would like to get my undivided attention on a certain topic in your life, if you have a specific question that you want me to pull tarot for, channel, or do astrology for, then you can just go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So with all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. Now, if you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey, pile one, welcome to your reading. We're going to be doing a live shuffle today. So let's get into your cards and see what messages you need to know, what is going on in your situation, and what you need to be aware of. Okay, so we got the Four of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, Queen of Cups. This could be an energy of some of you guys not looking after your emotional health and not really spending as much time having fun. I almost feel like there may be an energy of overworking, focusing too much on work, and that may be affecting your manifestations with the Magician reverse. Sometimes we think that like the more work we do, the more we'll grow, when sometimes it's the opposite. The more we look after our emotional health, the more we find other things that bring us happiness and joy, the more energy we're able to put into whatever project we have, whatever idea we're trying to start. And so there's an energy about you being aware of how much you're putting in, how much you're exerting yourself. And if you are burning yourself out, doing too much, or just not making time out for like friends, fun, family, the things that make you happy, then that's something maybe that needs to be addressed. I almost feel like for some of you guys recently, there may have been like a romantic disappointment for some people in this pile, or a friendship ending, or something that it's almost like you had high hopes for or you were excited about. And there's an energy of disappointment with that. Spirit wants you to know that you will have other things that make you happy. You will have other events. This was just a glimpse. This wasn't the whole thing. So if there's been like a sadness around it, if there was a sense of loss or a sense of disappointment or a sense of like, I can't believe this is ending, or, you know, I really had my hopes up for this, don't worry. It's not like this was your one and only chance. When we're manifesting, of course, we know that the universe has endless abundance for us and endless good things. So if it's not that, it's going to be something else, right? And it's not the end of the world. And I feel like you could, maybe this relationship or whatever it was meant so much to you because you often don't look after your emotional side. And there's a message that it's not like you need this person or this thing or this relationship, whatever it was, whether it's romantic, friendship, whatever, to satisfy you. It's like, I think sometimes when we're sad about something like this, we're sad because we're mourning the loss of who we were with that person or how we felt with that person. But we can access whatever energies whenever we want. We can feel happy, joyful, in love, like the world is a magical place without needing another person to bring that in for us, right? So even if that's just something we create on our own, it's entirely possible to do that. And also, we can create other relationships. We can find joy in new things. We can make a life that feels magical and happy and beautiful. And we're not reliant. It's not like there's just one person, one option, one door, and oh my God, you missed the boat, or you missed, you ruined that one thing. So now that's over. There's always going to be new options, new abilities. And so I feel like it's almost like Spirit is calling on you just to be gentler and easier on yourself, not to push yourself quite as hard, and to relax a little bit. Because there is that energy of possibly overwork or just not doing things that bring you joy and happiness. And you are so deserving of joy and happiness, pile number 2. So I feel like it's an energy with you needing to put yourself back out there, needing to do things that make you happy, bring you joy, make you have fun. And really being like deliberate about seeking those things out, not just waiting for them to fall into your lap or waiting for, some person to ask you to do something, but maybe you being the one to instigate an invitation, or you being the one to call an old friend and be like, hey, do you want to hang out? But making sure that you're taking active steps towards that, and making sure that you are, like I said, balanced, because I almost feel like you put in a lot of effort to your work, and you put into a lot of effort into the things you prioritize, but when it comes to your personal life, it's almost like, oh, well, why would I do that? Like, I have other obligations, and that's just fun, and it doesn't matter so much. But it does matter. And the more emotionally aligned you can be, the happier you can be, the more that's going to pay off in the long run. I want to pull actually from this Oracle deck. I love this little deck. So let's pull from here. What messages do we have for pile number 1? What's going on with them right now? Wide open. Okay. Moonlight. What is going on with their situation? What do they need to know? So we got coming apart and metamorphosis. I actually feel like a lot of you guys in this pile, you're either in the process of transforming and changing, or you are about to begin that process. But it's like you're really not the same person. And I think Spirit wants you to pause, take a moment, and acknowledge how far you've come. And also acknowledge that I bet with every step along the way, you have felt like things were falling apart, right? I know for me, thinking on my journey, definitely there were times when I was like, what is happening? This thing is ending in my life. Oh my God, this is the end of the world. And I can look back now and be like, oh wow, I'm so glad that ended. Or I'm so glad that I didn't take that path. I'm so glad that that thing I thought I wanted so badly didn't work out. And I kind of feel like there's an energy of you needing to remember that for your life as well, for things that are happening for you right now. So if there is that relationship that didn't work out, if there is that friendship falling out, or whatever the case may be, whatever this disappointment is, this is part of the process. And I actually think, in a way, for some of you guys, you need to take it as confirmation of all the things you have manifested, how far you have come. Because for some of you guys, if you did get a glimpse at something really bright and beautiful and special, just know that that is your birthright. You have every right to experience those things. And this was just a glimpse. It was just an appetizer. It wasn't the whole meal. It wasn't the whole main course. It wasn't everything. It was like a little hors d'oeuvre you get at the very beginning, just to like whet your appetite. Like, I'm thinking of this restaurant I went to that I really liked in Italy, and before every meal, they would give you this tiny little ball of, I don't even know what it was. It was like fried, some kind of fried doughy substance, but it was like mixed with vegetables, but it was super savory and delicious. And then it was like you would dip it in sauce. I forget. I wish I could describe it better, but anyway, I would always look forward to it. And sometimes it would be a little different. Sometimes they'd give you a tiny little bit of like a veggie soup, but it was always so small. It was always like a 1 bite, 2 bites kind of thing. It was not a big bowl of soup that you could like enjoy and get satisfied from. It was just a little glimpse as to the meal. And I always loved when they would bring that out because it was so special just to have that one bite and then it's over. It almost makes it more special. And so if you had a fun, beautiful experience, there's no need to get pessimistic about it. There's no need for you to be like, oh, so this means nothing works out for me. But instead, look at it as like, ooh, this was just the hors d'oeuvre. This was just the little, I don't even know if there's a word for it, but just a tiny little glimpse of what's about to come. And this is just one little tiny version of the whole grander meal I'm about to have. And so trusting that that's on the way for you, I think is going to be really key and really crucial because pile one, I feel like you need to know that you are really delightful. You may be that queen of cups, that energy of someone who is so charismatic and infectious and really sweet and kind. And people are just drawn to them, drawn to their empathy and their creativity and their joy and their emotionalness, all their beautiful emotions that radiate out from them. The Queen of Cups is probably, I would say, I mean, I'm biased, I'm a water sign, but I would say she is archetypally probably the most feminine and maybe the most overall like attractive, because I think the Queen of Wands would also be really attractive, but she's more outwardly sexual. And the Queen of Cups is just kind of like that mom figure. She's so charming, she's so sweet, and she's also firm, but she's kind of like that person that would make an incredible partner. There's a lot of charm in the suit cups cards. So she has a softness about her. And I feel like that's what you guys have. Like you have something really beautiful about you and creative and different and special. And there may also be like a gentleness around you, in which case your guides, angels, and ancestors are going to make sure that they're really careful with who they match you up with. They're not going to just stick you with any old person because you may have that beautiful Queen of Cups energy that's special and that deserves a separate person, deserves someone who's going to cherish them, deserves someone who's not going to take advantage or be entitled to them or be weird around them, but who is going to go out of their way to take care of them, protect them, look after them, and also understand their emotions and how they can maybe one day be excited and the next day be sad and then be happy. And the beauty of that, love that, not just be like, oh, get over it. So you can't settle for the average. You can't settle for the mediocre and just whatever normal person that someone else may have. I feel like your guides, angels, and ancestors on the other side, they are looking out to find the perfect person for you. A lot of them are scrambling around trying to get you to the right person, trying to align your timelines and trying to get you ready. And I'm also hearing you're not ready yet for this. So there's an amazing person that I feel like your guides do want to bring in for you, but it's almost like you still need to go through some growth to make yourself ready for this. Not that you're like bad as you are or there's something wrong with you or anything like that, but it's like, we grow, we transform, we change. I bet if you look back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it's not that you were a bad person back then. It's not that you were a loser, but you probably changed a lot. I feel like this pile in particular has gone through a lot of transformation with the metamorphosis card. So we can recognize that, like, yeah, there was a stage when you weren't ready. Or I can think of times in my life when maybe I felt like, oh, I'm ready for this, or I want this now. And maybe I had to study up on something. Maybe there was something that I had to learn, like in school, hearing that, like, well, you can't take this class until you're a certain age, or you have to study this first, and being like, oh my God, this is so annoying. Like, I know for me, I guess a comparison would be I was a philosophy major in college, and we had to go through logic class, which is like extraordinarily or legendarily hard in philosophy. And especially at my school, at least, everyone hated the logic class. So I was so frustrated. Like, why do I have to go through this? Oh my God, is there just a way to like bypass this? And everyone would talk about how it was just the worst class you could take. And by the end, I am so glad I took that class. And I think everyone who studies philosophy feels the same way because it really kind of reformats the way you think. And actually, philosophy majors tend to do really well on the LSATs. So, like the tests you have to take to get into law school. And I was hearing people discuss it, and they were like, I wonder why. Because it's technically not like a straight up precursor for law. So it's not like you're studying law in philosophy. And a lot of people said it's probably because of the logic class, because you kind of have to break down how you think and then reformat it into like logic equations, and it's kind of hard to describe. But my point is that as much dread as I felt at the time, and as much as I would have been like, I don't need to take a logic class, I'm already like logical, like this is stupid, I'm so glad that I went through that process of change. And as much as it was frustrating, I can recognize now I wasn't ready before. And even though I would have bypassed that if I could have, and I would have been like, no, I'm ready now. Like, just, I don't need to take this class. Let me glaze over it. I'm so glad I went through that transformation. And I bet we can all think of events in our life like that when maybe we felt like we were ready earlier, but looking back, we're like, oh my God, I was so not ready. And I'm so glad I went through that. And I do feel like a lot of you guys, you're still going through growth. You're still transforming. You're still changing. There's still things that are being switched around in your energy that I think are going to prepare you for exactly the right person and are going to prepare you for someone who's just going to completely be obsessed with you. So there's really no need to rush the timeline or to wonder about why isn't this happening yet, or this is really unfair, or, this should have happened for me already, or where is this person? It is happening in divine timing. And if you really are impatient, I do feel like some of you guys might be able to meditate and talk to this person on the astral plane, because I do feel like they are attached to your energy. But I think that sometimes, like I said, when we're going through transformation, when we feel like something isn't happening at that moment, we're like not understanding what's going on behind the scenes. Like the spirit just showed me the metaphor or the image of someone waiting in a restaurant, and they're just like, I wonder where my food is. And then cut to like the back of the restaurant, and the chef and all the assistant cooks are like running around like crazy, chopping and, grilling, and there's like smoke in the air from the meat being grilled, and they're in constant motion trying to get that food ready. And of course, to the diner, they might be like, okay, but like I ordered my steak 15 minutes ago. What's going on, And they don't know that, like, they're not thinking about all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes, and the fact that it takes time, especially if you want that steak to be made well and to, all the details to be perfect. Like if you just want to go get whatever random fast food and they probably pre-cooked the burgers and it's been laying out for the past 2 hours, and maybe the sauce came from a little powdered mix and they just added some lukewarm water and stirred it up and threw it on the side. Like those kinds of things, yeah, that will be easy and they can do that in like 2 minutes. But if you want that beautiful, like 5-star meal, it's going to take a little extra time. And I feel like that's what your guides, angels, and ancestors are preparing for you, is like a 5-star meal, beautiful connection or beautiful manifestation, whatever this is. So don't be stressed out or wondering, why hasn't this happened yet? Let's get into some more cards. And I just want to note, by the way, since we have so many reversals, some people might think I was shuffling it upside down. I definitely was not. It was totally upright. So those reversals are very deliberate for you guys. Let's get into some more cards for pile number 1 about what they need to know, what messages they need to hear. What does pile 1 need to know? What messages does pile 1 need to hear? Okay, that's what I was already sensing a little bit around you guys, is that 7 of Wands, working really hard, feeling like you have to kind of stress. I'm hearing there are certain timelines at play with you. So it's almost like, not to say don't put in any work or don't try to do your best, but when I think of all the best things that have happened in my life, they've all seemed to like just land in my lap. I think that's kind of like a 4 of Cups moment. I always think of the 4 of Cups where spirit randomly hands you something. And again, I'm not saying you can't seek it out. I can also think of blessings I've had that I've sought out and that I've taken active steps to achieve. And you kind of have to sometimes be deliberate about it, right? And not just lay back and be like, maybe randomly my future husband's gonna walk through my bedroom door and I haven't left the house in 2 weeks. That's probably not gonna happen. But as long as you're putting yourself out there, you're receptive to energy, then sometimes you have to trust the process and the timeline. And I think sometimes 7 of Wands, we can think that like the more we fight, the harder we push, the more we are taking on projects and like doing things, and we have to like go, go, go. and that's going to achieve our ends, when sometimes it's on a timeline, it's on a random cycle, and the most you can do is continuously work or put yourself out there, whatever you're trying to achieve, whether you're trying to achieve something financially, personal life, whatever. Of course, continue to work, continue to put yourself out there, continue to push. But at the same time, understanding and noticing that like things happen at their own pace. Like I was thinking of, I think it came up that there's a psychic here on YouTube who had predicted that Diddy would be like exposed for everything in November 2023. And she was really specific about it. And then her prediction, of course, after everything that came out this month went viral. And so everyone started like paying attention to her more. And that's how I found her out. Her name is Sloan Bella. So I watched a few of her videos. So yeah, I hadn't heard of her either. And I was like, oh, that's cool too. That's so cool that she was so on point with that. And I think she makes a lot of different predictions. So her name is Sloan Bella, in case anyone wants to watch a psychic on here. I think, yeah, I think she seems really talented. I haven't seen all her stuff, but yeah. But my point is that, you know, maybe before that, she might have felt like she was having some stagnancy, or she might have felt like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not her. I can't get inside her head. But my point is that sometimes it's at an anointed time is when something will happen for you. Sometimes it's not when you expect, or you're not knowing the timeline of everything coming down. Sometimes you might just be going about your business, and that is your time to be vindicated, to be validated, to have everything happen for you. You know what I mean? Whether it's in your career, whether it's in your personal life, whatever. My point is that, you know, her life probably before all of that came out and her predictions turned out to be so on point and so true and so specific, probably it just felt like a normal day. And then boom, that was when it was appointed to happen. And I think in general, when I can look at things in my life, it's also happened on timelines that just seem to come out of the blue. Like I couldn't have predicted it. I couldn't have predicted that, you know, a certain meeting would end up in a relationship, a random meeting with someone, or a random business thing would do really well. You know what I mean? You never really know what's going to come to fruition, how it's going to come to fruition. And I do think a lot of that stuff is planned by spirit. And sometimes there may feel like there's a delay. And what struck me about her content is she has a lot of content. So it's like if someone did hear about her, you know, from that, they were able to go to her YouTube and they were able to watch, oh, she has lots of different celebrity predictions. She has lots of different readings that she does, which I think is a really great thing. So it's not like that was her one video and she, you know, and that was it. She has a whole library for lots of people to watch. And that's sometimes what people may not get is like, sometimes you're preparing something for later. Sometimes you're getting your life ready for later, whether it's romantically, whether it's career-wise. Sometimes the work that you may feel you're putting down now and you don't feel like you're getting any recognition, or you don't feel like it's paying off in the way it should. And again, I'm not saying this specifically about her because I have no idea what's in her head or how she was feeling. I just thought that was cool to see, honestly, a fellow psychic get recognized, have a big moment of vindication. I always love that when that happens, because I think being a psychic, being a medium, sometimes you get faced with so much doubt and so much pushback and, you know, just a lot of like standoffish, rude behavior at times. And I love that. I'm also thinking of that psychic who, if you watch The Real Housewives, Kyle Richards, one of the housewives on it, she'd had a psychic tell her 10 years earlier that she was going to divorce her husband. And actually, everyone made fun of this psychic. It was that the lady who the TV show Medium was based on, Alison Dubois. Yes, Alison Dubois. So she was a really famous psychic, very respected. She had a TV show based on her, all this stuff. And when that moment happened, she got kind of humiliated. Everyone made fun of her because they were like, oh my God, she's happily married. Like, that's crazy that she would say this. She's clearly wrong. She's clearly a really bad psychic. And guess what happened? It took a while. It took like, I don't know, 12 years. but now they are getting divorced. And it seems to be for all the reasons she said. But that was a long waiting period, right? 12 years where she probably felt really frustrated. Like, oh my God, everyone's saying that I'm a joke. I was respected. I go on this TV show and I get clowned for it. And every word she said turned out to be exactly right. And finally, 12 years later, she gets the vindication. And it's even sweeter at that time. And so I just think, these are things that are just coming to my mind, but it doesn't have to be exclusive to psychics or mediums. My point is that for all of us, there's going to be seasons where maybe we're planting the seeds, maybe we're doing the work, maybe we feel like, when is it happening? What's going on? Why would this happen? Why is this delay? I'm waiting for this. I want that relationship, but it's not coming in. I want that career thing, but it's not happening. And it can get really easy to feel frustrated, to feel like this is stagnant, or it's never going to happen, or maybe I'm doing everything wrong, whatever. And sometimes it's just about keeping the course, continuing to be positive, and allowing it to happen in God's timing. Because in a way, I think probably Alison Dubois is feeling double vindicated. If they had filed for divorce like a year later, people might have said, oh, well, she could tell from her body language, or all the other excuses they come up for psychics and mediums. Oh, she probably was reading it in the press, whatever. But because it took 12 years and then everything she said happened, it's like no one can say that. They know that people for years were like, oh my gosh, she was so wrong. And same with that psychic, Sloan Bella. She had no way of knowing it. And it's not like she geared up like some video and she like got insider information and then she, planned a release around a certain date. It was a video she put up, probably forgot about, probably didn't even remember what she said. And then boom, the moment happens and she's massively vindicated and has, I think, a lot more people watching her channel, engaging in her stuff because of that. Sometimes there's something being set up, there's a timeline being prepared for you, and you don't get to see it now. You won't get to see it until the moment of. You won't get to see it until the moment of reveal. And as long as you are in alignment with your truth, genuinely being truthful, because that's something also working as a psychic and medium has taught me, is sometimes you will get those clients like on The Real Housewives who will be like, oh, absolutely not. That would never happen for me. Like she was saying in The Real Housewives, I think she said, if my husband ever leaves me, I'm coming with him. And everyone kept laughing about that, being like, oh my gosh, she was so wrong. They're so close together. And boom, the divorce. And it's not to rejoice in someone else's misfortune, but it is like, I think when you stand in the light of your truth, whatever it is, even if it's a truth of, I know I want this kind of relationship, so I'm not going to settle for the guy that is I kind of like him. I feel lukewarm about him, but truthfully down in my soul, I know I want this kind of guy. I know I feel aligned with this kind of a soulmate. So standing in the light of your truth sometimes is just not settling for something kind of mediocre that comes along that's almost it, but not quite, and doesn't really and that sometimes feels really difficult. It feels difficult, like I said, during a reading to tell someone, well, I'm so sorry, but that's what I'm getting, when they're like, no, I don't like that. But what do you mean? I thought it was but I want this. And it's really hard sometimes to be like, yeah, I know, but this is what the cards are saying. This is what I'm getting in my head. It can feel really difficult to do that, but that's what integrity is. And that's when you get your blessings, is when you're not willing to settle, when you're not willing to lie to yourself or others, when you're genuinely coming at it from a place of, let me align myself with spirit. Let me align myself with what spirit wants for me, what spirit wants from me, and let me do that. And let me kind of live a life to a certain extent of service. Because a life of service doesn't necessarily mean that every moment is going to be like a party and you're going to get that vindication right away. And every time you do something, people are going to cheer it on. A lot of times it means the opposite. A lot of times it means in the moment, it may feel like I'm losing. It may feel like I'm taking an L. It may feel like no one's noticing it. Or it may feel like I'm not getting what I want. It may feel like I asked for this and where is it? What's happening? And I really think sometimes it's like that metaphor where when you go to a 5-star restaurant, right? Like a really high-end restaurant, they don't bring out someone's food at random different times. They don't like sloppily be like, here's your spaghetti and throw it down on the table. Everything is coordinated. They're all going to bring out the dishes right at the same time, maybe present it to you with like white gloves. Who knows? Everything's going to be perfect. And so it's going to take extra time. You're not going to be in and out in 5 minutes. You're not going to get it right away. If you ordered the spaghetti that maybe it takes a quick amount of time to serve, but you're best friend ordered the filet mignon and that takes a while to cook, then you're going to have to wait until their filet mignon is cooked and the person across the way's chicken dish is finished, so that means that it's going to take a little bit longer. And sometimes the best things in life, we have to be in a place of energetic receptivity. We have to be in a place of calm. We have to be in a place of openness. And we have to understand that different timelines work for different people and we're on our own timeline. Well, let me get some more cards for pile number one. What messages does pile one need to hear? What messages does pile one need to hear? Oh my God. I just love when spirit backs me up. Spirit's like, that's right. Listen to listen to Briar. Okay, so we got the Temperance card, and the Temperance card is all about patience. It's also about having balance and understanding. And in my mind, it's just that general vibe of being understanding, not being demanding, not expecting it to be all or nothing or feeling like it has to happen now and it has to look like this. And it's kind of that chill, relaxed, calm, receptive vibe where you are understanding that, yeah, maybe this is going to take a little bit longer. Maybe it is going to maybe sometimes look a little different than I thought. Maybe it's going to come across differently than I thought. Maybe I could have never predicted it. But sometimes that's the best blessing is that thing that we kind of don't see coming. I love the phrase make plans, God laughs, because I think that's so true. And sometimes the biggest blessings, the best things, we can't plan. We can't understand how it's going to happen. We can't see the vision, but God sees the vision. And that's really all we need. That's all we need to know is that, yes, there is a plan. There is something happening beneath the surface. And also understanding, for some of you guys, this may even be like a relationship that ended that you feel sad about. And it's like, understand that everything that's for you will be for you. So if you're supposed to be with that person, if you're supposed to be back in that relationship or back in that job or whatever you're sad about having left behind or back in that old city that you're missing right now, just know that anything that is for you will be for you. So even if it takes 5 years, I know people get really impatient about timelines, but keep in mind those are human limitations. And on the other side, they really don't care much about time. Sometimes it can be even frustrating during a reading when someone's like, oh, well, is there a timeline for that? And you're like asking, they're like, Spirit, can you give me a timeline? And they like really don't want to give a timeline because in their mind, they're like, who cares, And I understand that as humans, we're like, okay, but I need a timeline. I want to know. But the reality is that it's all happening divinely, unfolding in God's time. And as long as we're genuinely moving forward, putting ourselves out there, allowing the magic of the world to flow around us, giving ourselves chances and opportunities to experience life, and we're not hiding away and hermiting away, because that's not really giving the universe time or the space to work its magic, then we can understand and expect that things are going to take place on their own timeline and that's okay. It's okay for us to not know exactly what that timeline is. It's okay for Spirit to surprise us, and it's okay for us to trust the process while it's in between happening. So yeah, I think for you guys, Spirit is doing something really beautiful for you. And even though you may be in an energy of wanting to know exactly how it's going to take place, when it's going to happen, we oftentimes want to know all the details. We want to know how a situation is going to resolve itself. But sometimes it's existing in that in-between space, the uncertainty, being okay with that. I feel like Spirit loves when we come with that trust, loves when we come with that openness, that patience, that understanding. It's just like you could imagine, and I'm not saying that this is how Spirit feels about us when we're like, can I have a timeline, or, I want to know something. But, imagine you have two customers. I don't know why there's so many restaurant and food metaphors in this, but, we're going to roll with it. Imagine you're in that five-star restaurant and you have one customer who's calmly waiting. Maybe they have a glass of wine, they're sipping the wine. Maybe it's a big group and they're all talking amongst their friends and enjoying and sitting there politely, quietly, having great conversation. Or maybe it's a single diner and they're just sitting alone. They've got their wine. Maybe they have a book. They're chill. Maybe you come up to them and say, I'm so sorry, your lobster dish is taking a little bit longer. And they just say, oh, it's completely fine. Don't worry about it. I'm loving the view out the window and I'm just relaxing with my wine. So take as much time as you need. And then you have a big table and they are shouting at you, or you have a single diner and they're screaming and they're saying, when is this coming out? I demand my food right now. I've been waiting for 20 minutes and I'm hungry and I need food. And why won't you give me my food? You know what I mean? Who would you rather serve? Who would you rather delight? Who do you think is going to get the free dessert at the end of the meal? Who do you think is going to get the complimentary, you know what, we comped your drinks and thanks and please come again. You were such a delight. Who do you think next time when there's a wait at dinner and they don't have enough tables, who do you think is going to be brought to the front of the line and told, listen, we have a table in the corner right this way, and made an exception for it? And who is going to get that special extra service? It's going to be the person who's kind, patient, and understanding and chill, just because that energy is so much more pleasant to be around. Even the couple, even the people at the table who might not be shouting, might not be saying anything, but you can tell they're really mad, they're angry, they're checking their watch, they're kind of disgruntled. And you can feel that energy, because we can feel energy. Everyone, as humans, we have the ability to sense others' energy. You can feel they're angry and uptight and upset, versus that person who's relaxed, who's calm, who's like, oh, it doesn't matter. No, no, no. Don't rush. Chill. It's fine. Take your time. I'm good. I'm having a great afternoon. So please, no rush at all. You're going to want to give that extra special service to the person who's calm, who's relaxed, who's open, because their energy is going to flow. Their energy is going to feel pleasant. Their energy is going to feel open, warm, receptive, and that's who's going to get the free dessert. So in life in general, I just feel like you're being called upon. I know there may be timelines you're like, okay, when is this going to happen? Let's go. Like, I'm ready, spirit. But just understand that if there is a delay, that doesn't mean it's not happening. That may mean something extra special is being prepared for you, and at the right time, everything is going to happen in the right timing. So I think that's what I have for you. Pile one, check out my Patreon if you haven't already. I just posted a reading all about their late night thoughts about you. So it's a little bit of a spicy one, late night thoughts. So if you're interested in that one, head to the link underneath the timestamps for my Patreon in the description and the comments. And as soon as you sign up, you get access to over 70 additional readings, my whole extended library of extra readings, and you also get early access to all my YouTube readings. So if that all sounds good to you, then like I said, check out the link for my Patreon. Link is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description, and I'd love to see you there. Also, let me know how this resonated for you. I always want to hear your thoughts. I always want to know what you thought of it, whether it applied to you, whether it resonated with you. Let me know what you think, and make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe as well. And if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, or a little combination. And obviously you get to decide what we talk about. So like I said, if that sounds good to you, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile two, welcome to your reading. So let's get into your cards. We're going to do a live shuffle today. See what messages we have for pile two about their situation. Okay, we have the 8 of Cups coming through, as well as the 4 of Swords. So there may be a situation in which you are ready to leave. You are ready to move on. The situation may not be super bad. It may not be a situation where you're like, my life sucks and everything's horrible. Sometimes the 8 of Cups moment is when it's kind of hard to leave, because maybe things feel like they're working out for you, or the situation doesn't seem that bad, or there's nothing horrible about the situation. Like, I think at least when I'm leaving something behind, like, I want to know, oh, it's absolutely awful, like there's no way out, and then I can leave and feel good about it. But sometimes you have to leave in situations where you haven't seen that. You have to leave in situations where you're just not feeling fulfilled, or it's just not quite good enough. It's just not fulfilling you, and you have to kind of set out for something more. It may not even be anything against that original situation, but maybe in your heart, you know there's something better, and you just have to seek it. Because you can see in the 8 of Cups card, all the cups are upright that they're leaving, except for 3. So it's kind of a good situation. 5 of the cups are upright, 3 are knocked down, and yet he's still leaving. He's still like, nope, I'm not going to tolerate these three knockdown cups. So sometimes it's about seeing a situation for what it is and accepting and acknowledging that we're not going to put on rose-colored glasses. We're going to really take it in for what it is and be like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't good enough. And it's also with the Four of Swords coming out about being in a restful energy. I think sometimes I think of situations where people are in situations they know are kind of janky or messed up. And it's almost interesting to see like the cope they'll come up with, the way they'll try to explain it away or make sense of like the bad relationship they're in and find ways to justify it and find ways to explain away like, yeah, it's fine that he cheated on me, but we worked through that. Or it's fine that he always shouts at me, but it's okay. Or it's fine that my job doesn't treat me with respect. But you know what? It's not that bad, when the reality is they should be in that restful energy and really understanding that it's not up to them to fix it. It's not up to them to justify or to be on this hamster wheel trying to find some excuse. Sometimes it's just about taking a situation and leaving it behind, taking it for what it is instead of what we want it to be, and not going out of our way to try to twist ourselves into a pretzel or twist the situation into a pretzel to fix it. Let me get some more cards for pile number 2. What messages do we have for pile 2 situation? What messages do we have for pile 2 situation? The Ace of Wands, okay. The Fool. So there may be something new that wants to come in. So I don't know what situation you're facing, pile 2, but if there's something you're thinking about leaving behind and maybe you have some anxiety around that, maybe you're like, I don't know what's going to come next, or what if I leave this and there's nothing to replace it? What if I leave this and I'm just totally out of luck and nothing works out? Don't worry, because there is going to be something that's going to want to come in to replace it. I almost feel like for some of you guys, this could be feeling really tempted by something new, because the Ace of Wands can feel very passionate. It can feel tempting. It can feel exciting. And maybe there's a part of you that's also like, okay, but maybe I shouldn't go after this. Maybe I should just stay in my comfort zone with what's safe. I even think sometimes society can pressure us to do that. You know, society can pressure us that like, not all that glitters is gold, and just because something looks glamorous doesn't mean we should pursue it, which is good advice. But at the same time, when we're really pursuing our heart, when we're really listening to what feels good to us, to what makes us excited, to what makes us feel alive, that's such a beautiful path to go down. And even if it is a short-sighted experience or an experience that doesn't last forever, like I think sometimes even with relationships, people will give relationship advice that's like 100% with the purpose of a long-term, super committed relationship, which is completely great and awesome if that's what you want. But sometimes maybe someone's like, yeah, I want a summer fling, or I want a winter fling, I guess, or I want a short, like, I don't need it to be that. You know, it can still be beautiful, even if it was quick, or even if it's not going to last forever. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes people give advice that's very like how to be safe in general in life, not just with relationships, but with everything. Like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't do that because this risk, whatever. But the point is that there's lots of risks in experiencing life in general, right? And sometimes you just got to do that wild thing that maybe it does feel a little risky, or maybe it does feel like it might not pan out perfectly, but it's what our heart is calling us to do so deeply. And I think there's something really beautiful about following that thread, following that path. And maybe it doesn't take us to the destination we expected. Maybe it's not like everything works out, and maybe in the metaphor of the relationship, maybe it is a summer fling. Maybe it's not like we end up married to that person, but we still had an amazing summer and we had amazing memories, and maybe we'll remember those memories for the rest of our life. And we can also take it as for what it is, as like, that was such a great experience. I'm so glad I got to have that fun. I'm so glad I got to experience that level of attraction for someone, or even love for someone, and not needing it to be like, it's going to last for the rest of my life and I have a ring, and you know what I mean? Not that, again, if that's what someone wants, I think that that can be, of course, great as well. But I think sometimes we get advice that's like one person's idea of what they wanted for their life, and not considering the fact that different people have different goals, different people want different things. And sometimes maybe someone wants some fun, or they want some excitement, or they don't want something that's going to last forever, or maybe they do. But the point is, we're all different, and it's okay to go after things that make you feel excited in the moment, make you feel good, give you that like spark of life. I'm hearing that song Kiss of Life by Sade. And I think sometimes, even if, like I said, maybe it's been a while since someone's been in a relationship and they end up flirting with someone, they have a little short fling and it kind of gives them their confidence back. You know what I mean? It gets them like flowing again. There's nothing wrong with that. So, whatever this is, it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could even be a career thing. It could be literally anything. But sometimes it's okay to like not have our expectations, or not even put expectations on something, even living just in the moment, living very pure, living very like, I'm okay with whatever happens, and I'm embracing this, and I'm allowing myself to really experience it to the fullest instead of worrying so much about the future or what does this mean. Also, I think there's nothing more repulsive than that energy, whether you're a man or a woman. No one wants to feel like, of course, we want, there's nothing wrong with having intentions, but that person that you're hanging around, that you can just feel them stressing out and wondering, what are we? Or, you can feel them stressing out about literally whatever. We can feel that energy of stress. We can feel that energy of like, not being in alignment, not having fun, someone who's like in their mind worrying and freaking out. And that energy will push, so like most people, it will push them away. So I think sometimes it's just about finding the things that bring us joy, finding the things that bring us happiness, and honestly, not even stressing out so much. And it's funny because this is not what I would think would come up, but actually, Spirit is showing me someone stressing out a lot about their social media in particular. Like, should I post this on Instagram? What will people think? Oh my gosh, like they're gonna think I'm lame, or they're gonna think, maybe it's a bad picture of me. I don't know, I shouldn't post it. And Spirit is just saying, like, post it. And it's funny because I think there's been a lot of discourse lately about how there's a lot of secret haters on Instagram. And I would totally agree. I think Instagram has a weird vibe now where it does seem like there's a lot of people like that just lurk or never like your photos or whatever, or view your stories but never like your stuff. And definitely those people are haters. But I think the thing is the more honest you are, the more you're going to realize, yeah, that person is a hater because they didn't like my post. They haven't liked any of my posts. And you'll never know that if you kind of stay in your comfort zone and don't post ever. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're avoiding having that judgmental jerk judge you, but why would you even want to let them influence your life at all? The thing is that the more bold, honest you can be with yourself, the more you're going to attract the kind of person who is going to cheer you on, who is going to love what you're doing, and who is going to think that everything about you, your vibe, your attitude, your energy is so cool, and that they want to be a part of it. Not the people who maybe are liking a certain version of you, or who are liking you because you kind of stay in the shadows and don't really show yourself off and keep yourself small. They may not like the version of you that's fully 100% alive and showing yourself and being 100% truthful. And I'm not saying you have to like completely tell all your secrets on Instagram and tell everyone your business or whatever. Of course, share what you're comfortable with and feel free to edit accordingly. But I just think so much of the time now, because we are aware of haters, because we are aware of those people who are judgmental, that sometimes it can hold people back and it can make them be like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to wear that, or I'm not going to post that. But the reality is that there's something really freeing about embracing the energy that like, yeah, you are going to anger some people. You are going to annoy some people. People are going to not like you. And even the more light you have, the more glowed up you are, the more people are going to get jealous or annoyed. And honestly, that's just it's a part of the process. And in a way, it's a good thing. I know it doesn't feel good and no one likes to be on the receiving end of hater energy, but ultimately we should take it as a compliment, because I do feel like pile number 2, you're being called to kind of step into a little bit of a out of your comfort zone, I guess, and into more of a bold and just honest, truthful energy. Like, it's kind of like I want to ask you, why have you been holding back? Why have you not been showing yourself as strong as you could? Why have you not been being 100% transparent? Because your energy is so beautiful. And I actually feel like so many people love your energy, pile 2. So in a way, it's like there may have been some hater or some traumatic experience or negative person who is really judgmental to you, who doesn't get it. But the thing is there's going to be so many people who do get it. I'm actually thinking what Spirit is bringing to my mind is this TikTok or something that went viral, and it was a girl filming herself like dancing in her car. And then some other lady saw her filming it and was like filming her filming herself. And then you could see the moment when the girl looked over and saw the lady, and you could see that she felt really ashamed, and the lady who's filming is just like laughing super hard. And that kind of went viral. Everyone thought it was really funny, but I thought it was really mean, to be honest. And I just also feel like, um, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of cruelty on social media, but it's amazing why even people get annoyed or why people are so irritated by someone like dancing alone in their car. Like, yeah, I guess it could be kind of cringe. But at the same time, if someone's enjoying themselves, having fun, and honestly, the girl was like this cute young girl, and I kind of wonder if there is an aspect or an element of a little bit of jealousy, because I do find that attractive people tend to have that directed at them, or just bright light people tend to have it directed at them right off the bat. And my point is that I think what can be so freeing is to truly, I know those things can be traumatic when that happens. Like if you're on the receiving end of something like that, it might make you feel like, well, I'm never going to film in my car again, or I'm never going to dance to anything again and post it on TikTok, or I'm never going to, I look like an idiot. But in my mind, karmically, who would get the bad karma from that situation? 100% the lady who filmed it and laughed and like made fun of this person on social media. And karma takes sometime a long time to develop or to happen, but it will happen. Karma does take place. The Akashic records are written down. So, in a way, I feel like even though that stuff is traumatic, it can stay with you, we kind of have an obligation to continue to push past that, to continue to shine our bright, to continue light bright, whatever I'm saying, to continue to shine our light brightly, and to continue to not allow those kinds of people, negative people that would love to see us suffering or sad, to get into our head. And we also have to understand that we are going to be misunderstood. There's going to be people that find it cringe. I'm sure there's plenty of people who have stumbled across my videos who find them cringe, who don't believe in tarot, who don't believe in oracle cards. But that's not going to stop me. And I'm not going to not post because some random person in Wisconsin or wherever, no offense to anyone from Wisconsin, thinks that it's lame. You know what I mean? And by the same token, it's like, why are we allowing people to control us or to get in our heads who really have nothing to do with our life? So I feel like your homework, I guess, would be to just either post on social media, especially if there's been like a photo, you're like, oh, should I post that? I don't know. What if people think it's lame? Just go ahead and do it, because the right people are going to be aligned with you the more honest, brave, and bold you can be with yourself. And I feel like you're being called to put yourself out there in general, whether it's wearing more almost like form-fitting outfits, or, making sure that you go out every day and grab your coffee and actually pick it up in person instead of having it postmated to you or just making it at home. Or, whatever the case may be, you're being called to show more of yourself to the world, to be more bold, to be more expressive, and put something out there. Maybe it's like writing, maybe it's a creative hobby, maybe it's like you wanted to make YouTube videos or TikTok videos. Honestly, the thing is that keeping yourself in that box is not going to reward anyone but other people. And it's going to reward the person who's bold and brave enough to go for what they want. And the more you can be like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to show myself. Who knows what's going to happen? The more magic you're creating, the more opportunity you have for something beautiful to take place. And you never know where it may take you. You have no idea. So you have to, especially if you have a bold, beautiful, sparkling personality, which I sense you guys do have, you have to be willing to take that risk, take that step, be brave, like the Fool card, and step out there. And I think one of the best ways to go about it is also to not think of consequences so much. Like the Fool card is named the Fool for a reason, and that's because there's a certain level of stupidity you have to embark on the major arcana journey, knowing that you're going to have to go through a tower moment, a death moment. You're going to have to go through maybe a justice moment, balancing of the scales, a judgment moment. And there's, some not so fun cards when it comes to the major arcana, but it ends in the World card. It ends in that moment of pure celebration, joy, fulfillment, and achievement. And the only way to go through that is to go through all those negative cards, the fight, the journey. And so that's why the Fool is the Fool and not just like the beginner or the first start or the fresh start or whatever. It is the Fool because you have to be stupid in a way. Not in a bad way, but like you have to kind of suspend your mind that's running a million miles an hour and telling you that like I can't do this, or there's no way, or what if people think I'm lame, or what if I fail? It's like, yeah, that may happen. But if you can just learn to live in the moment and kind of suspend your disbelief, suspend your negative thinking, suspend all the doubts and the fears and the negative self-talk, and just go for it, then there's something so, so powerful about that. And then the sky is the limit and you have the capability to really live out your dreams. So let's also get into some oracle cards for you, pile number 2. We want to get some oracle messages for pile number 2. So we got Wizard of Awareness. Then we got Magical Map Shifter and Follow the Leader. So I do feel like this is about following your intuition, following a call that you're feeling. And even like what's coming to my mind as well with this commitment card and the Ace of Wands is I also think there's a lot of discourse around like online in general around people kind of like playing it cool in relationships, and not to turn this into a relationship reading, but I do feel like there is a relationship vibe coming through a little bit. And I'm getting the feeling of just like being honest. I think so much of the talk can be about, about like doing this or acting a certain way. And I'm not like, far be it from me to judge anyone. People can choose their own relationship style. But I also think that there's something to be said. Like when I think of various scenarios I would want to play out in my life, and I would think most people would agree with me. Would I rather be in love with someone for like a year, but like trying to play it cool with them and dance around and like not tell them how I feel and hope they're going to come to me and hope they're going to transform how they feel and be quiet waiting for their text? Or would I rather be like, I'm in love with this guy, let me text him and get rejected? I'd rather get rejected, me personally, and know that, oh, okay, he's not into me like that. So then I can move on. Because when you're not honest, or when you kind of play those games, or you kind of like dance around and don't really say how you feel, then there's always going to be that unanswered question. Like, what if I'd done that? What if I'd sent the text? What if I'd gone for it? And I think that's how sometimes people can get trapped in like limerence or worrying about someone from their past, is because like they didn't step forward and just allow things to be like hashed out, and in a way just like putting it out there and being like, well, I'm really into you, so whatever. Or even just sending that text and like maybe, and I also think sometimes those things happen exactly as they should. We can also take it as a response if like we send a text and they don't respond for 7 hours and then they're like, oh, sorry, I've been busy with blah blah blah. It's like, even if that's true, maybe that's a message, maybe the timing's off, maybe we're not supposed to be together right now. And then we can kind of take that as an answer. We can get answers from the universe as well as from other people. So I'm not saying you have to reach out to someone, but I just feel like you're being called to be more bold in general, I guess, and to like, if you want something, go after it and do it. I almost feel like there may be a lot of rumination in this pile. There may be a lot of overthinking or wondering about a situation, but not acting on it. Feeling something, wanting something, knowing that like, this is what I really want, but not actually taking the initiative and going for it and doing something about it. And I feel like you need to know that you are the master of your own destiny, pile number 2. We got Magical Map Shifter. If you want to change this situation, if you want to do something about it, take the lead, go for it, do something. I think so much of the time we kind of can sit back, and there is an energy that's beautiful of waiting for a Four of Cups moment, allowing and being receptive to Spirit's blessings, but not like stressing out about it has to happen this way. But we also have to be willing at times to take the initiative, to step up, to go for it, to make it happen, because if we don't make life happen, life is going to happen to us. And I think sometimes people get themselves stuck in situations because they're just kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting for something to happen. And it's about going for it. It's about doing it. It's about being the one who like wakes up in the morning and takes action and takes initiative. So for some of you guys, this is about just asking yourself, how can I move forward in the direction of my dreams? How can I, make the most of this day, of this week, of this month? How can I make the most of this hour that I have? How can I step forward into my destiny? And how can I not like play it safe? I think that sometimes we can get so fixated on, again, like I see it with guys talking about girls and girls talking about guys, like a fear of rejection. So many people will be like, well, and I'll hear guys talk about it and I'm like, this is crazy. They'll say crazy things like, well, if a girl doesn't sleep with you on the first date, she's not into you. And as a girl, I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure guys watch videos about girls talking about, oh, well, if he's not doing blah, 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 then he's not that into you, because if he wanted to, he would. And probably think that's not true either at times, I'm not a guy, so I couldn't say for sure. But I think that, so much of that discourse, when you boil it down to what it's really about, it's about that fear of rejection, right? It's about like, I want to make it as safe as possible for myself to be in a relationship. So I'm going to look for the first sign of disinterest and then I'm going to cut ties, because I'm not really comfortable like existing in a place of ambiguity. I'm not really comfortable if I dated this person for 6 months and then they were like, by the way, I don't want to date you. That would crush my heart. So instead I'm going to like be like, yeah, she didn't sleep with me, date one. Bye. And so it's just about like this fear that we all have of like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, or someone's going to reject me, or I'm going to feel pain. But the reality is that life is pain. I know that's like maybe harsh to say, but life is pain. And I feel like it's interesting. One of the most romantic cultures in the world is probably the French. I would say probably the most romantic culture in the world. And they even have a word for pain caused by love. And I'm going to butcher this because I know my French pronunciation is super bad, but it's called le douleur exquise. And I'm just laughing because I already know how bad my French pronunciation is. So please excuse me if you're actually French and you're just like, what even did she just say? But it basically means the exquisite pain. And it's interesting that one of the most romantic countries in the world really has a term that we don't even have in like English for romantic pain. And that's because I think the French value love. And so they understand that like pain is a part of love. Pain is a part of any life experience. Pain is a part of like anything you're going to do. If you're going to build a YouTube, let me tell you for sure, you're going to get hate comments. You're going to get nasty remarks. You're going to get people who don't like you. You're going to feel weird vibes from other people in the community. That's just how it is, and I'm sure that's the case for literally anything in life. No matter what you want, there's going to be pain. And I think it's funny that sometimes people think they can do anything, but they're never going to experience pain. And it's almost like once you just accept that, like, yeah, I am probably going to get rejected. If I am dating, I'm sure I'm going to feel some pain from my partner. Of course, there's levels. If someone's abusing you, if someone's like a narcissist and a horrible person and they're trying to like mentally break you down, that's not the pain I'm saying you should accept. Definitely not. But sometimes, putting yourself out there sucks. Maybe sometimes you're ready for a relationship and the other person isn't. Or maybe, you're really feeling the vibe with them and they're not obsessed with you the way you're obsessed with them. And like, that's also okay. You know what I mean? I promise, it's not going to shatter your heart into a million different places. You're going to be okay. Heart is going to keep beating. You're going to be fine. And if anything, you can walk away with like a beautiful story and being grateful that you experienced that level of love. And that's my point, I guess, is like everything doesn't have to work out perfectly. Like I feel like we have such a risk-averse culture now that just so much of the discourse is about avoiding pain in whatever way. How to know if someone doesn't like you, how do you know if someone does like you, how to know if you should text them, how to know if you shouldn't, how to know. And it's like, what if you just felt like texting the person and texted them? And you'll probably be able to tell. If you did text them like 3 times in a row and both times they responded in like 8 hours and there's no time difference, so they're probably up and it's not like you texted them at 4 a.m, then yeah, they're probably not that into you. And you're smart, you'll be able to figure it out. But I think sometimes it's like we get so in our heads about like, well, I'm not going to reach out, or I'm not going to do anything, or I'm not going to try for this, or I'm not going to go for it. Or like I said, doesn't have to be romantic. I want to create a YouTube channel, but I'm not going to post anything because if I do, people will make fun of me. Or I want to make a TikTok account, but I'm not going to ever post because I don't want people to say I'm cringe, so I'm not going to do it. And I think a big part of growth is just accepting that, like, yeah, the pain's going to happen, the rejection is going to happen. It's really inevitable, but it's also not the end of the world. And you'll still be the same beautiful, cool, awesome person that you are on the other side of the rejection. You'll be okay, I promise. And if we can kind of like just fully embrace that and almost take it in a way, reframing rejection as just like, oh, that was cool. Well, at least I got to experience that. At least I know, with that example of like the guy that doesn't really like you back all the way, and maybe you bring up like, so what are we? I want an exclusive relationship. And he is like, well, I don't. And you feel maybe stupid in the moment. But at least you got to experience having a big crush on someone. At least you know you're capable of that. At least you got to have a cool story of like falling in love. You know what I mean? Even if it's only on one side, at least you got to feel that. And probably if you're really feeling genuine love, it's probably on both sides, because most of the time love isn't just a one-sided thing. But maybe someone's not ready. Maybe they don't feel quite the same as you do. Who knows? It's not to say you have to like ignore their feelings and be like, no, I know you love me and we're still together. Of course, accept their free will. We all have free will and we have to respect free will. That is a huge important command in spirituality. But, you know, at least we got to experience that. At least we know our heart is capable of soaring to those heights and feeling those things. And isn't that like the most amazing thing of all? It's funny because, again, there's been so much discourse lately about Josephine and Napoleon, because they made a clown-like film where they cast an actor who's like 25 years older than the actress or something. And in real life, Josephine is 6 years older than Napoleon. Like, Hollywood, can you guys just not be creepy for like just a couple movies? Just can you just act normal for once and actually depict things as they really are, instead of these weird casting choices all the time and weird vibes in your movies? But anyway, the point is people love that relationship. And I had not honestly known as much about Napoleon and Josephine until like some of the stuff was coming out about the movie and people talking about how it's super historically inaccurate and stuff like that. And the age gap thing is obviously, it's just weird to see like why are you casting a guy who's so much visibly older when it's not even the vibe. And it also affected the vibe of their relationship that she was older than him, because he kind of looked up to her. So it really makes no sense. It's like, why don't you guys just make up new stories then and don't call it like Napoleon if it's not about anything close to the actual historical thing? You know what I mean? That's how I feel, at least. But I've been hearing more and more about Napoleon and Josephine, and I honestly didn't know too much about them. But then I was reading about, you know, their love story or whatever. And I remembered that it was, you know, I'd heard about them before, Napoleon and Josephine, as like a phrase meaning like two people who love each other so much. But it's interesting because they divorced. There was a lot of, I would say, unpleasant emotion, I guess, even though they loved each other. Napoleon was always trying to make her jealous as well. And so all this drama happened. But then on his deathbed, I think Napoleon said to my officers, to the army officers, France, and Josephine. So like she was his last word, and he obviously loved her, everyone said, until the very end. She couldn't have his babies because she was older than him, and you know, I guess she couldn't get pregnant. And so he had to marry someone younger, but he was always in love with Josephine. And this is why people like think it's such an iconic romance. But my point of bringing all this up is actually reading about it. They had a lot of drama. Like it wasn't pain-free. You know, it wasn't like this walk in the park relationship where everything was just beautiful. Every day was just like walking in the sunshine. Actually, it sounds like there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of issues. And yet people still crave that kind of love. And people will say, Napoleon and Josephine, oh my God, like they're so romantic. I wish I could experience love like this. So it's funny because, and speaking of the French, they're French. French. So maybe the French just are able to tolerate more of that like negativity in love or something. I don't know. And understand that it's part and parcel. Like the only way we can fully experience something is by experiencing the negative parts as well, experiencing the pain, experiencing the beauty. And it's all boiled into one beautiful package. You know what I mean? So I think that in general, my point for you is maybe to just be a little riskier with yourself. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be so much keeping yourself in the safety zone, except that experiencing the highest highs are going to sometimes come with lows, or experiencing true beauty in a relationship sometimes will be pain, sometimes will be rejection, sometimes it will be questioning how the person feels about you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like has no value and it's just worth completely throwing away, or I'm not gonna, well, then he didn't text me first, so I'm not texting him. Like, that's such a silly attitude to have, in my opinion. And again, if someone wants to make that decision for themselves and they're like, well, this is how I feel comfortable in relationships, then again, we have free will, so that's fine. I don't really care. But I just feel like you guys are being called to like be bold about whatever it is you want and not filter yourself, not be afraid of it. Go after whatever it is and accept that, yeah, there may be some times when it doesn't work out perfect, but there's also going to be some amazing experiences you get out of it. And we can only experience the amazing experiences by putting ourselves out there, by allowing life to actually happen for us, by allowing ourselves to get absorbed and immersed in whatever experience instead of like keeping ourselves safe on the sidelines. You know, it's kind of like if you're going whitewater rafting but you're afraid to get wet, it's probably going to be a problem. You're not going to be actually able to go whitewater rafting. You kind of have to accept that, like, yeah, I'm probably going to be soaked at the end, you know? So let me go into that, knowing that, accepting it, and then enjoying it, even like having the fun of like, oh my God, I'm soaked. I have water all over me, but this was so much fun, because that's how life is. You know, we're going to get a little soaked by the water, I guess, and we're going to sometimes maybe fall down on our face. But as long as we pick ourselves up, keep going, and have a good attitude, then the sky is the limit. So yeah, I think that's what I have for you. Pile number 2. I hope that resonated. If it did, let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you, love hearing your thoughts, stories, and experiences. And if you want to see more of my readings, head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about their late night thoughts about you. It's a spicy one. So if you are interested in watching that or any of the other 70 readings you'll get instant access to as soon as you sign up, then you can go to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And I also post all my YouTube videos early access and ad-free over there as well. So it's definitely a lot of extra content, and all my extended library stuff is over there. So head to my Patreon if you want to check that out. Also, if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a half-hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, a combination of all three, and you obviously get to ask me whatever question you want about whatever situation you want. So if that sounds good to you, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and get a session with me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 3, welcome to your reading. So we are going to do a live shuffle for you. And we want to know what messages you have for pile number 3, Spirit. What messages do we have for pile 3 about their situation? Okay, 9 of Swords. So I don't know if y'all have been stressing out about something, possibly having sleepless nights. Ooh, it could be over a relationship with the Lovers reversed. So I don't know if that's, yeah, if there's a love situation, maybe with a earth sign man, that could be stressing you out. That might not be the case for everyone, but something has been keeping you guys up late at night, stressing you out, making you worried. Let's see what messages we're going to get with that. What messages do we have for pile 3 situation, Spirit? What messages do we have for pile 3 situation? Okay, we got the 9 of Wands. That could show that there's something you're worried about, where maybe you feel like you're close to the end, or you're trying to achieve something. You may have felt like you've had a lot of people come against you. I'm being told to shuffle these cards, so that's what I'm doing. That's what that noise is. What is going on with pile number 3? Let's see if we can get one more card. For pile three, what do they need to know? Nine of Pentacles. It may be a financial situation that you're stressing out. I almost feel like pile three, there's an energy around you of you having stepped into your power and almost like having a lot of boundaries, or not, what is it? Not boundaries, responsibilities, having a lot on your shoulders and kind of like worrying about that, or feeling like almost like you're at your wit's end or you don't know how to proceed. I feel like you're being called to kind of step into more and more of your power, but it has been a bit of a struggle. Like to me, it feels like you have the weight of the world on your shoulder, and there's things you're stressing about with regards to your future, and you're not really seeing a clear answer for what you should do. It feels to me like there's a lot of kind of confusion, or just like stress, things coming to your mind about like, how do I handle this? What should I do next? How do I move forward? I can feel the anxiety. I can feel the stress. I can feel the fact that you seem like you're at a place where it's almost like I don't know where to turn. I'm seeing someone in a forest and they're like not sure which route to go down. I'm going to get some more cards because this is a really almost confusing reading. What do you want pile three to know, Spirit? Seven of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. This could be a really positive message that everything is possible for you, pile three. And that maybe even though you're stressing about things, there's energy that manifestations may be possible even beyond what you think you're possible or capable of. Maybe you're stressing about something that's like a new energy coming in and you're almost not ready. And I'm hearing, if this is about manifestations, this could also be someone who's like, why haven't my manifestations come in? Or I'm doing everything right. I don't understand why I haven't received this, why this hasn't happened for me, whatever this may be, romantic, career, whatever. And there could be a message that you are blocking your manifestations because you don't quite feel ready. And because there's a big part of you that is bringing a lot of anxiety to it and is bringing a lot of like, how am I going to figure this out? And it's almost like you're being called to be in that energy of just peacefulness, calm. It's funny that the King of Pentacles is a huge success card because the King of Pentacles is also very unemotional and is very stoic in a way that the other cards, like the King of Cups, which is actually at the bottom of your deck, is not, or the King of Wands is not. He's very like impassive. He's not going to get upset or mad or fly off the handle or cry or anything like that. He's very relaxed. He's very powerful in his own energy. And with the King of Pentacles, again, he's a huge success card. So it's almost like sometimes we have to just be stoic. We just have to be brave. We might not know all the details about how something is going to work out, but we have to be willing to take on that responsibility and step into our power. And I almost feel like that's something you're being called to do, is to step into your power in a way that right now it may scare you. You may be like, I don't know if I'm ready for this change. I don't know if I'm ready for this different stage in my life. And I'm hearing that you are ready. In fact, you've been beyond ready. And in fact, Spirit has gotten kind of tired of waiting for you, is what they're saying. Maybe that sounds harsh. I don't mean it to be harsh, but I do feel like your guides are like, no, no, no. Like we are done waiting. We are ready. Let's move on. Let's do this. Like it has been time. Okay. And it's time for us to now step forward into this because you know you have been ready, pile three, for whatever this is. I have no idea what this is, but you're ready for it. There's a change that wants to happen in your life. There's a boldness that you are being called to express for yourself. You are being called to step into a destiny moment, to do something that scares you a little bit. And I feel like that's causing you anxiety. Your mind, I feel like at night, is working a million miles an hour, trying to figure out all the different scenarios, trying to figure out how it's going to happen, what it's going to look like. And here's the good news. You don't have to figure any of that out. You don't have to know any of the details about how it's going to take place, what it's going to look like, how it's going to transform, what it's going to be, because you just need to trust and believe that that timeline does exist for you and you are aligning yourself with that timeline. And I know for me, whenever I've had a really intense psychic vision before the fact, a lot of times I've been like, what? How is that going to happen? That just doesn't make sense. That's not who I am. That doesn't make sense for me. There's no way the person I am is not going to be the person who would do that. And then lo and behold, a few years or months later, guess what? I am aligned with that and it makes perfect sense. And yeah, because I'm not the same person I was at that time. And for me, of course, the process of transforming is often very unconscious. You're not aware of it, but you're transformed by your experiences and you become a different version of yourself. And at the time, it can even feel bittersweet. Like you're like, why am I'm suddenly being forced to be like this stronger, or like maybe you see it as a negative. Like maybe you're being called to have firmer boundaries with people and you feel like, oh, I used to be so nice. Now I'm being forced to be mean, but you're being prepared to step up into the role of a boss or like a CEO. And so at the time, you may be bitter about it. You may be feeling like this is a bad thing. Like, oh my God, I was always so sweet back in the day. Now you're telling me I have to be really harsh with everyone. I have to have all these boundaries. But just trust that process, that you're being aligned with a new identity and you have to step into this new energy in order to access that new identity. And then even though it's happening in a way that you might not understand, and at the time it may seem very like it's just happening and you don't really understand the purpose of it, at the end, the purpose is to align you with a new timeline, with a new identity, to make you compatible with the person you need to be to manifest whatever this is. And I feel like right now, some of the things you've asked for feel impossible. It feels like I can't do this. It feels like, how is this going to take place? Or maybe there's some really stressful things you're dealing with in your life, maybe financial issues, maybe logistical issues with literally whatever. And you're like, this just doesn't make sense. I can't do this. There's no way for it to happen. I've gone over the math, whatever. It just doesn't matter. And I feel like you're really being called to be patient, to be calm about it, to be relaxed about it, and to understand that if Spirit has promised you something, Spirit will deliver. It will happen. Even if it seems impossible at this moment, trust me, with Spirit, there is always a way, and Spirit knows all the little formulas and the things that need to be tweaked and changed in order to make it happen. So your job is just to stay positive in the moment, to expect the best, to thank Spirit for the blessings you know are about to come your way, instead of getting down in the nitty gritty and trying to tweak all the details yourself. Let me get into some more cards. We want, I think, 3 more cards to just make this nice and even for pile number 3. So we want to know what messages pile 3 needs to hear. 5 of Wands, okay. What messages does pile 3 need to hear for their situation right now? Knight of Pentacles, a lot of Pentacles energy coming out for you guys. So this may be a financial concern. This may be a really positive message that y'all are going to be making more money, that, you know, things are going to be easier for you financially. I feel like there's a need for you to be like diligent, you know, like I'm not saying go crazy and just trust the process or just go blow $5,000 at the casino when you don't know how you're going to pay your rent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying though that sometimes all we can do is like the best we can do, and then we can trust Spirit to pick up the slack. This may even be a long-term plan. Like maybe you are wanting to buy a house within the next few years and you felt Spirit put it in your heart, but you just don't know how that's going to happen. You have really bad credit, or you're not making much money, or you have a ton of student loans, whatever the case may be. Again, I feel like Spirit is asking for you to trust Spirit. Spirit is saying like, listen, I got this. And maybe it does seem pie in the sky, crazy. Maybe it does seem like this is out of the realm of possibility for you, but all you should do is continue on this path, continue working as hard as you can, continue to step forward in this beautiful, all the Pentacle cards we got for you guys are all upright, and we got the Ace, the Knight, the Nine of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles. These are really positive financial cards. I feel like this could also be a message of abundance coming your way and of an easier time financially, and also of you guys mastering money. If you have been in a season of feeling like you didn't have enough money, feeling like you really had to budget or coupon, or the bills were just really high, you could have been being taught money management, and that might have been the purpose of you having to go through that. There may have been that as the reason why things felt very up in the air, or things felt kind of stagnant. And I do feel like maybe in 2024, you guys will be earning more money. Things are going to be going better for you. There is an energy of you continuing to have to kind of fight. And, you know, we have some wand cards. Those are an energy of struggle a little bit, or fighting, or pushing forward. It's not a super easygoing energy, but I feel like the abundance on the other side of this, the blessings that want to come through for you, it's going to make it all worth it for you. So it's kind of a message about, like I said, keeping your eyes on the prize. Instead of focusing on where you're at now, focus on this new timeline you're stepping into, focus on these new blessings that want to come in for you. And this may even be like a romantic loss, that maybe you felt like someone moved away from you, or someone that you really loved. You don't have access to them in the same way. Maybe you had a breakup, or you've had a disappointing romantic situation. And again, if that's the case, it's really going to be important for you to keep your eyes on the prize with that, to keep your eyes on the prize of the kind of beautiful relationship you want to bring in, instead of focusing on where you're at right now, or the fact that you're not together with this person and you miss them so much. And why did this have to happen? And it's really unfair. And I'm never going to find love. And all those negative thoughts that might enter our mind after a breakup, maybe moving your mind to repeatedly and intentionally focus on all the good things, on like, I'm so glad I experienced love like that. I'm so glad that I got to have my heart flutter for someone and I got butterflies with someone. I'm so glad I'm capable of that kind of love. I wish this person the best, and I know that we'll align in whatever timeline is right for us. And maybe there's some other timeline where y'all are together, and maybe there's not. But the point is at least you got to experience something beautiful. And if it's supposed to happen, if it is the right person for you, knowing that you will end up with them. So there's no reason to get upset, to get sad, to get frustrated with it. Just know that you are being put in the space. Your guides, your angels, ancestors are guiding every step along your way. So if it's not happening in the way you expected, then maybe it's not meant to happen that way. And you never know what might be right around the corner for you. Let me get into some oracle cards for pile number 3. What messages do we have for pile number 3? What messages do we have for pile number 3? Okay, so we got intention, bone collector. So you guys might also be staying up late at night thinking about traumas, because the bone collector can literally be about processing trauma, processing things that happened to us that may have been unpleasant at the time. And we also got magic prayer. I love that for you guys, because magic prayer is a card all about how your prayers are being listened to. And this is what I'm feeling is there's an energy around some of you guys where you may be feeling really alone. You may be feeling really unlistened to. You may be feeling like no one's around and no one really cares. And, you're just like crying yourself to sleep, and there's no one to turn to. But your guides, your angels, your ancestors are around you so closely. Pile number 3. They can hear everything you're asking for. And sometimes rejection is protection. Sometimes a disappointment, a negative situation. When I think of like a few years ago, losing a really close friend of mine, I was so upset and I could not see a way of it being positive. And I would just like cry about it randomly. I mean, I am a Cancer moon, we're known for crying, but it just really hit me. And I was so sad, especially around the holidays, because it reminded me of this person. But the thing is now I can see that as the biggest blessing that had to happen. I knew I had outgrown that relationship. I'd already felt it. But when the actual moment came down of like the rejection or the betrayal or whatever you want to call it, I just couldn't handle it. And I felt so betrayed. I felt so sad. I felt so upset. And now I look back and I truly believe that was an ordained blessing from God for both of us, probably. I hope that person is thriving. I feel for me, I'm really glad that it went down like that. I'm glad at every detail of how it happened, because I think everything needed to happen that way to give like a clean cut, And even though at the time it was highly unpleasant, if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't change a single thing. And I honestly think that even though it's hard when we're in the midst of a pain, in the midst of an ending, a rejection, a negative event, it's really hard to understand, how on earth could this benefit me? How on earth could my guides have done that for me? Sometimes I get comments like that, like, how could you say that this was a positive thing when, blah, blah, blah happened and I've been betrayed and I'm so upset. And I totally understand that mentality. I totally understand how sometimes it just seems to make no sense, or it seems so unfair, so cruel. And, it doesn't even make you feel good when someone says like, oh, well, you'll be fine and it's happening for your blessing. You're like, well, that's just really like trite, and that's just easy for you to say because you're not actually going through it. But I promise you, if you could see and have the bird's eye view of what's going on, you would be like, oh my God, this is happening for me. It's giving to my mind the image of like when they are rebuilding a house or they're building a house, or I love when they're building a skyscraper, because if you've ever seen images of a skyscraper being built, if you haven't, go Google it. Like go Google skyscraper being built, or I don't know, skyscraper foundation, because if you can see pictures of like the very beginning of them building a skyscraper, what you'll see is just a huge, massive amount of land, because obviously skyscrapers have to be really big so they can go up so tall. And you'll see a massive amount of land, and it's all cleared. It's all empty. There's bulldozers, and then the ground, they've dug so deep into the ground, and it looks really scary. It just looks really dystopian. Like there's, maybe like, I don't know how deep in terms of like miles or feet or whatever, but maybe like 500 feet deep or something, and just this massive hole in the ground. It looks like horrible. It looks almost like violence or just dystopian, and it's really kind of like if you were passing by that and you didn't know they were building a skyscraper, you'd be like, oh my God, this is awful. And why did they do this? This was maybe a really pretty city street, and now it's like this empty hole in the ground, and it just looks awful. It looks like an entrance to hell or something. But the whole point is they need to dig that deep and they need to make it that big in order to build the skyscraper that high. So sometimes when there seems to be a massive amount of destruction happening in our life, something being majorly cleared out or a major pain, what's actually going on is all of that is being cleared because Spirit has something so much better in mind. Spirit wants to build a skyscraper. Spirit wants to build a palace. Spirit wants to build something beyond our wildest dreams. And it's really important for us to, like I said, trust the process. Go along with it when those traumas are brought up. Go along with it and accept it when we have shadow work happening in our life and suddenly we're plagued by like childhood random memories that are unpleasant, or memories of an old friend and we thought we'd processed it, but suddenly it's coming back up again. And oh my God, why do I have to think of this? It's so unpleasant. It's happening for a reason. Maybe you're being purged. Maybe you're being cleared, maybe it's just like a moment of rejuvenation for you and taking out the old to bring in the new. And we really have to embrace that whole process. We really have to accept and understand that Spirit does have a plan for us. And as much as sometimes it may seem to make no sense, and it just may seem like this event is so negative, there can't be a positive. There is a divine plan to the universe and everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So in that way, we can accept and embrace where we're at. We can accept and embrace that we sign up to learn certain lessons in this lifetime and that we are on track to do that. So every blessing is, or every lesson is a blessing, and it's an opportunity for us to grow more, to change more into the person we want to be. Again, like I said, I've had really intense visions of like something that's going to happen in my life or someone I'm going to meet. And my thought is always like, most of the time, that can't happen for me. No, that's not my vibe. No, that's not who I am. And it's funny, like there's that phrase, makes plans, God laughs. I love that phrase. But it's because a lot of times we don't even know who we are. We don't know who we're going to be in a year. We don't know who we're going to be in 6 months. And what's funny is once I align myself with that energy, and then when it finally comes to pass, I'm like, oh my God, that vision I had, wow, it was about this and it did happen. And I can't believe it because I can remember the disbelief I felt at the time, right? And the way I was like, no, that's not me. That's not going to happen. No. You got something wrong. That's a cool vision, but it's just not going to happen for me. And what I can look back on is seeing all the little steps that had to happen along the way. And sadly, most of the things that cause us major change are the heartbreaks, the painful things, the difficulty, the sitting down with the shadow work and having to rehash, I don't know, childhood trauma stuff, or having to deal with like your attachment style, having to deal with like your bad tendencies in relationships. Not a lot of fun things that like are a huge joy to talk about or to go through. Having to deal with rejection, having to try something and having it fail because we knew our energy wasn't in alignment and we approached in a janked up way and feeling that rejection. None of it is fun. None of it is a walk in the park, and all of it is painful in a way, but all of it is also a huge blessing because again, it's what we have to happen to align ourselves with the right thing. Like I'm seeing the image of, someone's like trying to shove, I don't know, a square peg in a round hole and it's not fitting. And so it's almost like someone is going to have to take that peg and they're going to have to shave down the four sides, the pointy sides, and turn it into a round peg so that it can fit into the hole. Yeah, into the round hole. I'm confusing myself with this metaphor, but anyway, my point is like, if it doesn't fit, we gotta adjust it to fit. So if there's something in your life where you're like, I've been trying to manifest money. It hasn't happened. I've been trying to manifest a relationship. It hasn't happened. And maybe you're feeling frustrated about it. Maybe you're in the process of being refined. Maybe you're having those hard edges shaved off. And it's not really a fun process. It can be kind of painful to have those edges shaved off. But it is happening to align you with the person you need to be to receive these blessings. And I do feel like you're on track with it. Pile number 3, you have so many blessing cards: the Ace of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, Nine of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. There's blessings and abundance coming your way. And maybe these are just some little tweaks and changes that need to happen in order to make it happen. We also got the Golden Palace card. So again, huge blessing cards, huge things that are happening for your greatest and highest good. They're not happening against you or to hurt you or to make you feel sad. They're happening to align you with a beautiful new destiny that maybe you've always dreamed of. Maybe you really wanted, but there was a part of you that was like, oh yeah, like I love the idea of marriage, but I'm never going to get married. That kind of thing doesn't happen for me. Or yeah, I'd love to own my own business, but I'm just not good with money, and it's just not gonna, it just won't happen, and that's fine. And now you had to go through a season where you had to cut coupons and pay attention to every bill, and you felt like you had no money, because it's making you realize, I'm actually really good with money. I'm actually a great manager of money. And now I can step confidently into this role of CEO. You know what I mean? Or that time when you kept trying to date and you felt like you were being rejected and you felt like you couldn't make it past the third date and you just felt super alone, and you started unpacking, do I have issues around love? Do I have a fear of commitment? Do I have a, anxious attachment style? And once you started unpacking that and really doing the work, you realized, yeah, I do have an anxious attachment style, and I'm probably scaring these people away by getting way too attached on the third date. And so you start working on that, and you start healing that energy in your life. And then by the time your actual soulmate comes in, it's all gravy. You're good because you worked through it. You did the work. You took those classes and you passed them, and you did the work, and you studied, and you did everything you needed to do. And so you are ready to receive that beautiful relationship. That's your destiny relationship. And instead of sabotaging it, instead of being scared of it, instead of ruining it and not being ready for it, now you're able to fully receive. But it's only through those rejections and the pain and the shadow work and the, coupon clipping and the difficult moment that we realize that we're ready for that level up. So sometimes that's what's happening when we feel like nothing's going right, or we feel rejected, or we just feel like, I can't believe so many things have gone wrong in my life. This is so unfair. Just know that that is happening for you. Again, not against you. It's happening for you. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. Again, it may not feel like it. It may feel like, how could this possibly be positive? That's crazy. This is one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. Trust and believe that Spirit has magical ways of making things happen. And again, like I said, for myself, when I think of certain relationships that have fallen off, or certain things that I thought were going to work out, certain things that in my mind I was like, this could only be negative. There's no way. Yeah, I know I'm supposed to think positive, but this is just a pure negative. There's nothing positive about it. And then in the end, it ends up cycling through to something super positive. And I would never have had that positive thing happen without the negativity. So honestly, I know in the moment it's easy to dismiss that, and it's easy to be like, okay, sure, of course the tarot lady's gonna say that. But truly, I really do think you guys are being aligned for something so much better. And also, there's a message here about how your intention does affect things. So keeping in mind that our current energy is going to affect the future. So the more we dwell on the negative, and the more we think about how this is the most catastrophic, worst thing that happened, and it could only be negative for us, the more that's going to start panning out. And the more we can focus on, I know this is guiding me to my good. And I know it can be hard. I know sometimes all you can do is think of those negative scenarios. All you can do is think of things that are going wrong. But we have to take control of our minds. We have to be careful and deliberate with the thoughts that we allow in. And I know it can be hard, especially when you're first practicing this, but trust me, we can control our thoughts and we can make it into a habit that when a negative thought comes in, we replace it with a positive. We think, oh my gosh, this is the end of the world. And we instantly try to recall a time when something bad happened, but it ended up being actually really good, and making that a habit. Or when we're in a really negative mindset, thinking of 10 things that we are grateful for, 10 things going right in our life. Even if you have to struggle, even if you're like, all you can come up with is like, I have oxygen, or there's like the sun, or I have running water, or whatever the case is, we can still fixate on positive things in order to shift our mindset. Because I do feel like pile number 3, a lot of you guys are going to be getting more money, more abundance. You're leveling up in some way, and it's almost like you're going through growing pains as you step into this new identity. Just the same way that like a guy who's, growing and actually becoming like 4 inches taller over the course of a summer, or 5 inches. I mean, the more he grows over the course of a summer, the more painful it is for guys. I've heard of guys who have stretch marks from growing so fast. If they grow like a foot over the course of a year, like the skin doesn't have time to stretch out that fast, so they may get stretch marks. It's a painful process. And I feel like you guys are going through some massive growth. You guys are really transforming into a brand new version of yourself. And if you could actually pan out and pay attention to that, you'd realize how exciting this is, how amazing this is, how this is exactly what you asked for and prayed for. And this is what you wanted. You wanted to be able to step into the highest version of yourself. Well, that's what's happening now. And maybe the old is being cleared out of your life. Maybe it's time to take out the trash so that we can create a beautiful new identity. I would say the thing that I'm getting for you is to be really clear about your intentions. Ask for what you want and be specific about it. I don't know if not everyone on this who watched this pile has a vision board, or you have been kind of slacking on that lately, but I'm getting that you guys need to be really clear about what you want. You need to be really, really specific and ask for the details, and make sure that you are keeping yourself open, of course, to like the little magic spirit wants to sprinkle in. But I do feel like for a lot of you guys, you're creating a new version of yourself. You're making a beautiful new life, and you're heading to a new destination. And whenever we do that, we've got to let go of the old stuff. And that's one of the hardest parts people don't understand with manifestation. They just think, but I thought I was going to be able to keep all my friends. I thought I was going to be able to, be just as close as I always was to my sister. I thought that I was going to be able to have this same job that I'm really comfortable at. Part of manifestation is leveling up and making you a little uncomfortable with the old, and shedding things that are going to hold you back from whatever your highest destination is. So as much as it may stink, as much as it may be painful, if you haven't achieved your goals yet, just know that right now you're kind of on a pit stop to achieving them, to getting all the things you dreamed of, that you wanted, all the things that you've been hoping for. So this is not the end of the road. This is not, well, this is it, and this is where you have to be now, and this was your only option, and so now it's over, that's done. This is one part of your journey, and you guys are heading to somewhere so much greater that I think you're going to absolutely love and be obsessed with. So again, don't freak out on this part of the process. This is happening for your greatest and highest good. Don't allow your negative thoughts to get the best of you. You guys are leveling up. You're going somewhere really positive, and this is a good thing, even if it sometimes doesn't feel that way. So I think that's what I have for you, pile number 3. I hope it resonated. If it did, let me know down in the comments. I always love hearing from you, hearing your thoughts, stories, reactions, all of that. So let me know. Also, make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe. And if you want to see more of my readings, head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about their late night thoughts about you. So that's a spicy one. And you will also get access to over 70 additional readings as soon as you sign up. And there are readings about all kinds of topics. That's where you can find my full extended library. You'll get instant access to all of them, all of my additional pick a cards when you sign up. And you also get early access and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. They get posted first over on Patreon. So if that sounds good to you, go to my Patreon link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me, have me pull tarot for you, read your astrology, channel for you, or a combination of all three. You get to ask me basically whatever you want. And yeah, you get to just have my undivided attention for whatever time session you book. And if that all sounds good to you, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I am sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.